Good evening. Good afternoon, actually. We'd like to throw a quick thank you out to the Dyess Top 3 for allowing us to do this podcast through YouTube and all that to go over the 10 rules of good followership. I'm Senior Master Sergeant Terrence Murphy.
I'm Master Sergeant Wilson Hunt.
We're both from the 97th OSS here at Altus Air Force Base. So what we'd like to discuss and go over with you guys today is the 10 rules of good followership.
All right, so the first rule is don't blame your boss for an unpopular decision or policy. Your job is to support them, not undermine them. So this is really important for those junior NCOs starting to come up to understand that they need to get with their boss, they need to talk with them and figure those decisions out in private. And then if there's any questions, any concerns, that they bring it up in that format. And then when they actually have to go out and talk about it to their troop, that they're on one accord with the leadership and they're not undermining that message that's coming out. So not saying things like, I know this is a dumb idea, but that's what the boss wants to say, things like that, trying to stay away from those kind of comments. It's easier to blame the boss for unpopular decisions rather than to own them and explain the reasoning, but the disloyalty can cripple unit cohesion. So what that means is really taking the time to think through these decisions and being able to explain to your troops exactly why they're being done and why it impacts the unit and really what leadership is thinking behind these decisions and why it's a good decision being made, and to negate those negative aspects that maybe the younger airmen are seeing in the decision. So guard against the desire for popularity. Even the lowest ranking member will eventually see through your ploy. So, whenever we're making these decisions, once again, just doing our best to explain it to them so they understand why this decision is being made, and understanding that it's not always going to be a popular decision, that sometimes we have to make choices that are going to affect our people in ways that they don't like, but it's going to increase our ability to actually execute our mission. So if asked if you agree with your response, should be that it's irrelevant. The boss decided, and now we carry out the orders. So that's another one of those that we want to get away from, and we want to maintain unit cohesion by being in one accord. And then leadership is not a commodity to be brought at the price of followership. So really understanding that that we're going to do our best with every single situation that we're given, and just to really once again push forward that one mind, one sound from the top leadership all the way down.
Okay, so rule number 2. Argue with your boss if necessary, but do it in private. Avoid embarrassing situations and never reveal to others what was discussed. Before I go into the subs underneath this is, hey, make sure you do it in private. I will tell you right now that you'll gain more trust and respect from your peers doing and informing on discussions in private than out in the open. Okay. Once that door is open, the discussions are done and doors open, we're all cheerleaders, okay? Whatever agreement, follow it, move forward, press on. So chronologically, should come to be rule number 1, meaning if you disagree, have a discussion prior to owning it, communicating the decision, okay? Don't be a yes man. Speak honestly, frankly, with tact. Resist this temptation to tell the boss what you think he or she wants to hear. I'd rather somebody tell me honestly what's going on and truthfully so I know how to handle the situation, or better yet, passing information up the chain of command. Be willing to revisit an issue 2 or 3 times to argue, fight for your people and unit. Yes, again, tactfully. There's a time to be right and a time to be relative. Okay, so if you're trying to be right all the time, and it's not relative to the situation, and your leadership has already said, hey, we are going to go this way, it does you no good. You're just going to lose the trust of your leadership at that point. Do not disagree in front of others, or to include a staff meeting. I've seen too many staff meetings where people like to argue, push their point and all that. That is not the time for that. That's where you engage and say, hey, sidebar, let's talk about this later. It is not right there in that time to do that. The boss will be inclined to dig their heels in, and you'll never win. I've seen that too. Is like if you challenge somebody in a meeting, you will lose. Okay, just do it tactfully offline, especially a higher ranking individual. Doesn't mean you're right or they're wrong. It means that it needs to be done behind closed doors. If you're able to sway or deflect a policy or decision, do not boast about it. Again, we're asking for people's inputs. We're asking for your feedback. If I'm wrong in a decision and I'm corrected by a junior NCO or one of my other NCOs, I'm going to own that, but I don't need you going out there boasting it to everybody because that does nothing for you or me. Again, you may not win points from your subordinates. I mean, you may win points from your subordinates, but not from your superiors.
All right, rule number 3. Make the decision and then run it past the boss. Use your initiative. So this is really going to build up leadership skills. It's going to help you also maintain the chain of command and integrity. So it's really important that we go through decision making and we don't always have to ask that, hey, can I do this before I do it? It's kind of like whenever you're in grade school and they're having to ask to go to the bathroom every single time you need to go. Make that decision on your own, the small decisions that you can, and then push those up to the boss and let them know, hey, this is what we decided to do. These are the reasons I decided to do it, and this is the way we're pushing forward. And then you'll get feedback at that point if it's needed. So no one likes to be micromanaged, and so this is just one of those ways that you can kind of get away from that while also maintaining that chain of command and the integrity within the chain of command. Even hands-on supervisors prefer a workable plan. Provide answers, not questions. So this is one of the biggest challenges that some of our junior NCOs coming up have, is the fact that they have an issue, they have a problem that they want answered, and when they come to leadership, oftentimes they don't bring an answer or workable solution to the problem. So if they would take 30 minutes, an hour, sit back, think about the problem itself, and then from there go and bring it to leadership and say, hey, this is a workable solution to the problems that we're having. That's going to just help your fight. That's going to help you go in the direction that you're wanting to go. That's going to help your airmen as well. So this is one of the ways that you earn trust, and earn trust should eventually allow you to act on your answers before briefing the boss. So the more trust that you earn, the more trust that you gain, bringing answers and solutions to problems, the easier it is for your boss to listen to you and say, yeah, you did a great job with that one. Or in the instance that maybe you need a little course correction, they'll give you that course correction then, and you'll be able to just go on with that decision. So take initiative, accomplish the task, and then brief the boss. And just having the one caution, there is a fine line between seizing a moment and becoming a loose cannon. So what that's talking about is there's a fine line between making a decision that you're capable of making, and then making decisions that are way outside of your realm without going and clearing those to the boss. So for those life-altering decisions, you definitely need to get with your leadership, talk with them, validate your thinking, validate the solution that you think you have before making those. And then for the smaller ones, go ahead and make it. And then once again, the most important thing is to bring your leadership into the thought process, and so they can understand what's going on in the shop, what has been addressed.
So now rule number 4, accept responsibility whenever it is offered. Okay. No organization can grow and improve without risk takers willing to assume responsibility. So risk takers, as not in breaking a safety violation, is just step up. Nothing grows out of comfort. There was a chief here at Alphys who said that at ALS graduation. I really sat back and I thought about it. It's like the only way that you are going to grow is you have to set responsibilities for other actions, your own actions, and then step up and willing to assume more responsibilities. So self-doubt and humility often cause us to hold back when often challenged. If you want to be successful here in the military, you got to step up. You got to be willing to get out of your comfort zone and grow. Will we measure up? Learn or fail? Fear of failure. It's part of growing. So hey, there's not a single leader that has not failed at something. They've learned from that, they've grown from that, and then they mentor and develop their airmen and NCOs from that. Be a risk taker, accept responsibility, and volunteer. Step up and say, yes, I will accept that challenge and move forward and learn from it and grow.
All right, rule number 5, tell the truth and don't quibble. Your boss will be giving advice up the chain of command based on what you said. And so, it says here an unfortunate human reaction is to lie or to cover up mistakes before they're discovered. This goes back to basic training. This goes back to the first thing that you learn, integrity first. There's a reason why it's the first core value. Always telling the truth and giving the whole story. And that's really important, not just giving half truth, but telling the entire truth and putting it in plain English for your supervisors to be able to give their leadership so that they can then push that up the chain of command. And it doesn't matter if it's a good or bad situation, complete truth all the time. It's essential. Each level must adhere to the exact truth. If the aircraft is almost ready, it isn't ready. So once again, this is the same thing. Don't do those half truths. Don't do the we're gonna call it ready because it's almost ready. Don't give the go until it's a go. So if in charge, own your mistakes and failures. And those are the individuals who work for you. This is extremely critical for our senior NCOs, for our NCOs, and even our airmen that are being put in charge in these situations, is to own your mistakes, but also to own the mistakes of your people underneath you. And then, don't make excuses about it. Take ownership of it. Work with whoever you need to work with to fix it, and then push forward. You're going to gain a lot of respect. You're going to once again gain that trust. These are words that you're going to hear over and over again: integrity, trust, and you're going to gain that from your leadership. That's going to help you and put you in a better position.
So rule number 6: do your homework. Give your boss all the information it needs to make a decision. Anticipate possible questions. I can't say that again. Do your homework. Okay. Based on your relationship with your leaders, you'll over time find out exactly. Some leaders will want just a little bit of snippet information. Some will want very great details. So you need to adapt to them. They don't adapt to you. Okay. When given a problem to solve, become that expert. If you cannot become an expert or you think it's out of your wheelhouse, bring that up and let them know. Hey, I need help with this. I need assistance so that I can give you better information. So then your leadership can make better decisions. Think through the implications of the problem. What would it mean and whom and how and now and down the road. So it's part of being the expert on that is start thinking of those future issues. Come up with those COAs that, hey, if the boss says, well, what about this? Or the boss says, hey, what about that? That you have second and third area COAs ready to answer for them or to give them. Anticipate your boss's questions, just like I stated. Be prepared to answer them. It will happen. Be sure to include second and third levels of questioning for them, answers-wise. And then when you're trying to be the subject matter expert, you're going to need to ask those questions as well. What's the third level? What's the secondary effect on these? What's this look like if this happens? You want to sit there and do all that research for your leadership before you go to them. Become the expert and pose a course of action. There's your COA. Don't go to your leadership with a problem or a complaint, and then you have nothing to offer them how to a solution for it. All I'm going to hear is that you're complaining. That's it. You know, even if your solution is not adapted or used, you still came to them with a solution. That's critical. If you just come with nothing, you're a complainer.
All right, rule number 7. When making a recommendation, remember who will probably have to implement it. This means you must know your own limitations and weaknesses as well as your strengths. This is also important for your airmen whenever you start getting up into higher points of leadership. You have to know your strengths and weaknesses of also the people underneath you, and making sure that you're playing to their advantages and not putting them in situations set up for failure, that you're setting them up for success. So since you're now the expert, you're likely to be tasked implementing your recommendation. So once again, we were talking before about when you have a problem, bring a recommendation, a solution, and not just a solution, but be ready to implement that solution and have gone through those second and third order effects, asking the questions and figuring out those things, the hiccups in the road before they actually happen. This one's critical. Is ideal solution worth the effort, or is 90% solution a better fit right now? So what that's talking about is don't propose something that is feasible in the ideal world, but impractical in your current environment. So I've seen this before where I've had members come and say, hey, this is a problem that we're having right now, and the solution is it was with purchasing something. They're like, well, the solution is just go straight to manufacturer. Well, we can't do that. We're in the military, and there are certain regulations, certain contracts that we have to go through in order to gain equipment. So yes, in the ideal world, that might be a good solution. In the real world, it doesn't work. So looking at that 90% solution that's a better fit is often better than these ideal perfect solutions, that people can come up with that don't make sense. So when asked to implement your recommendation, consider your own strengths and weaknesses, like I said before. Are you an organizer, originator, a facilitator, or a driver? Do you work better in groups? Put yourself in the position that maximizes your strengths. So this is knowing yourself. You absolutely have to know your strengths, know your weaknesses. There are a lot of tests that you can do out there that will help you to identify what your strengths and weaknesses are, how you problem solve, how you understand situations. I would suggest going into those and really seeking those out to learn more about yourself, to understand, how you break down problems, and then also to create a team. So you don't want to create a team where every single person thinks the exact same way. The issue with this is you're going to get into groupthink where everybody's going to think the exact same way, and then you're going to really have a problem because you're not going to be able to dissect that problem in the way that you can understand, okay, well, if we do this, then that's going to cause this ripple effect over here. So the real key to this is to know your team and put together people that think differently of you, than you do. And that's really going to help you out. It's going to really help your team come together and develop solutions that are implementable and that are well-rounded and are going to be effective.
Rule 8, keep your boss informed. What's going on in the unit. No leader likes to be blindsided, okay? So keep your boss informed. People will be reluctant to tell him or her their problems and successes. You should do this for them and not assume that someone else will tell the boss about yours, okay? So where this is going is that as you advance in rank, people will be less inclined to talk to you. So number one thing with that is get out, talk to them. Show them that you are approachable and that you want to talk. You want to be engaged with them, okay? As a result, your information may be heavily filtered. A boss needs subordinates who keep him and her informed. Like, they do not want to be blindsided. It does not look good for them or your leadership. If you're not passing information up to your leadership, you are wrong, okay? And it does not build that trust that you need to have between you and them. Drop occasional notes in passing, like in a hallway, or, hey, just a quick stop in and say, hey, so-and-so had a child. mother or father is sick, who's getting married, and all that. You may think it's just cheap talk or insignificant, but it's not. It's those little things that it'll perk your leadership tier up and be like, okay, I'll keep a note out for that, or hey, I'll follow back up later when I see that person and talk to them. Most people find it difficult to tell others about their troubles and successes, especially when you're higher in rank. People will not, again, they'll be very reluctant to come and talk to you. So get that out there, get that information, pass that up, and you may have to, be intrusive sometimes to find that information with some individuals. Do that for your team. You need to know your people. Your leadership needs to know your people. Tell your boss when someone has a compliment by a customer, is got a scholarship, has recently been ill, and I hope your team, reciprocates. That they'll open that up and talk to you more. This is all types of esprit de corps building. You want to build that relationship with your people. The boss needs all the information regarding work projects. Don't filter out the bat. He or she needs to know everything that's going on again. And our foot stop them again is they need to know everything, what's going on, so then they can have and make better decisions. Especially if they are asked from their leaders above them, you do not want your leadership to be blindsided.
All right, rule 9. If you see a problem, fix it. Don't worry about who would have gotten the blame or who now gets the praise. This is one of the things with young airmen. Oftentimes they have a hard time with this one. They see something, they're like, "Hey, I didn't mess that up. It's not my responsibility to fix it." It is. We're a team. We're one team, one fight. We hear that all the time. We have to work together. We have to get our team together, get them on the page that it doesn't matter who messed it up. If there's a problem, we're going to work together and get it fixed. There's no limit to the amount of good there's no limit to the amount of good people can accomplish when they do not care who gets the credit. That's General George C. Marshall. There's different than initiative. This is different than initiative. This is about selflessness. Chances are good deeds will eventually be rewarded. So once again, integrity falls into this one. Doing the right thing all the time, no matter who's watching, right? We shouldn't be doing something, fixing something just because the chief or the senior or, the master, sergeant, or whoever is looking at you and seeing you do it. If you see something wrong, you should be fixing it. It's a part of integrity first. Never look the other way because something isn't your problem. So once again, we're talking about that before. Really, if you see it, fix it. The essence of the profession of arms is teamwork, having each other's back and helping one another. So once again, team. These same things, these same concepts come over and over again and again in these different rules. So this is once again talking about the team. We are one team, one fight. We're going to get through this problem together. We're going to work on it together, and do your job quietly, confidently, and professionally. And if you run across a problem, once again, fix it.
Okay. So rule 10, final one. Put in more than a day's honest work. Don't forget that the needs of your family. Don't forget the needs of your family. If they are unhappy, you will be too, and you will bring that to your work, and your job performance will suffer. Again, the professional arms is known for its strong work ethic. Keep up the tradition, but don't be a workaholic. Crisis and non-routine events may force overtime for some days or weeks, but don't make it a habit for you or your family or subordinates. If your family isn't happy, you won't be either. So again, happy wife, happy family, happy life. Okay, your family isn't happy, you won't be either, and you'll bring it with you to work. Again, it will eventually come and spill into work. So make sure your home life is where it needs to be. Just remember that family is forever. Your military is not. Okay. So again, I'll just foot stomp is, hey, definitely put in work, an honest day's work. Okay. It's hard for some people, especially where they grew up, generational cultures. You know, some people work harder than others. You know, if you're a workaholic, you know, take a step back. Um, Focus on what's important. Put in that, you know, that effort where it needs to be. But then again, remember your family is there. They're waiting for you at home. Your backbone of your success in your military career will be support from your superiors, but the majority of it is from your family. So that's all we have today. We would like to again send thank you out to the Dyess top 3 from the Altus top 3. We'll stand by for a few if there's questions or anybody has anything else for us. If not, you know, thank you very much for your time and God bless.
Sergeant Harrison, I got a few questions for you actually.
Great. Okay.
First one. Do you ever outrank the need for these followership skills?
Do I ever outrank the need for followership? No. Even currently as a senior, I'm a follower. You will always be a follower, and there will be times when you're a leader.
Awesome. What rule do you see people fail at the most, and why?
Well, I really think it's the tell the truth, don't quibble. I mean, it's human reaction. People are going to do it. They're going to either lie or cover it up a little bit, or they're going to mislead their leadership and not tell them all the information, you know? So don't do that. You're not building credibility for yourself at all, especially if you're found to be wrong, find out that you lied, or even if it's a false truth, like it's not going to look good for you. It's not going to build that credibility, and it's not going to be good for you at the end.
Yeah, honestly, these it really, I want to say that it's really rank dependent for a lot of it, maturity dependent, honestly, depending on what rule that you're going to struggle with the most. So it's knowing your people, it's knowing how you interact with them. That's really going to depend on which rule that you struggle with, or, you know, that's harder for you to, you know,
Follow.
Yeah, to follow.
Thank you. One more question. What do you do when you've failed at being a good follower, but you want to change?
I own it, identify it, and learn from it. So learning is either self-reflecting on it, or if you don't know how to learn from it, ask somebody. Like, hey, I failed at this, or I need to change this. How do I do that? Look for that mentor or you know, family member that can help you. You know, a peer. You know, somebody outside your own resources to help get you to that point to learn from it.
Is learning tool. I think too often yes, there are negative connotations to failure, but at the end of the day, if you take that situation and you grow from it, you learn something from it, and then you pass that on to your airmen. Honestly, that is, you're going to gain more than you are through, you know, 100 successes that you have. So failure, look at it in a good way. Look at it as, this is an opportunity for me to overcome, you know, past failings, and to learn from it, and then to become a better supervisor in order to then, you know, help other people that are coming up so they don't hit those same, the same situations that you ran into.
I would go a step farther too, is that if I failed as a follower, I would expect my supervision, my leadership to tell me, okay? You know, sometimes, hey, I missed the mark. There was a miscommunication somewhere. We hear that a lot, but, you know, it does happen. It's like, if I fail to follow something that they put forward, you know, we need to talk about it. There was a SEAL Team 6 leader that once said that if my team failed, it's because I failed to communicate. I agree with that, but your followers need to listen to that communication. And if they don't, you know, you need to provide that to them.
I think that's all we have for the question section.
Cool. Well, again, Dyess Top 3, thank you guys very much for allowing us to do this. We appreciate it. If you have nothing else for us, then we're out. So
thank you.
That was a broadcast of professional development from Altus Air Force Base Top 3. We'll see you again on Friday. We're doing regular shows on Thursday and on Friday at 1500. Have a good day.